Hi everyone, welcome to Munro Live. Jordan Arocha here with Munro. We're at CES 2026. We've got a lot of stuff lined up at this event. We're here to stay on top of what's going on in the industry, who's doing what in what technology space, but most importantly, we're setting up a lot of appointments. We're meeting with a lot of people to talk about what challenges they're having from a cost perspective, from a manufacturing perspective, from an engineering perspective, and we're here to help. But we're also here to have some fun. So if you're around and you want to connect with us or link up at some point, reach out. You can connect with us at sales@leandesign.com. Look me up on LinkedIn, Jordan Arocha or Eric Platsky. Thanks so much. Looking forward to seeing you inside. Hi everyone, welcome back to Munro Live here at CES 2026. We're at the Caterpillar stand. I'm here with Brandon Hoodman, who is the Vice President of Data and AI here at Caterpillar. We just were able to watch one of the demos where they're talking through some of the data and the AI capabilities that are now starting to be incorporated on the Caterpillar equipment and machinery. And so, Brandon, it's pretty impressive to see. Coming from someone, I've got family who's in the excavating business. I toy around as well. It's really exciting to see like actual value being driven down to the end user, the operators. And so I don't know if you want to give a brief overview of how you're incorporating the AI and maybe some of the data and the aggregation and the ways that Caterpillar is doing that. That'd be really helpful.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. First of all, Jordan, thank you to you and your family for being Caterpillar customers. We greatly appreciate that. What I'll start with is Caterpillar so last year we celebrated 100 years. In that 100 years, Caterpillar has a rich history of innovation. So while we're on the stage at CES talking about what we're doing with digital technology, data, and AI, we've been doing this for years. So this really isn't anything new for us. What we're seeing is kind of a culmination of technologies now that are really allowing us to bring those innovations to the full scale of our machines and how they operate. So our story really starts in terms of what you see here with AI. Back about 7 or 8 years ago, we kind of rethought the way we were approaching digital and got really serious about ensuring that our global population of machines, the data coming off of those machines, the way our customers are using the machines in the field, the way our dealers are supporting those customers, that we can bring that data to Caterpillar, we can process that data at scale, and we can use that data to help our customers solve their toughest problems. That kind of laid the foundation of data that we needed to not only power our digital ecosystem, but to build the AI capabilities that you've seen here. So we started with our AI assistant being a cloud-based AI assistant that is everywhere our customers are to be able to help them. So you can be in your fleet management app, you can be in the e-commerce app, you could be in our oil sampling app, fluid analysis app, you could be in the inspection app. That Cat AI assistant is there to help you and has access and context to you as a customer across the entire ecosystem. But we realize that our customers, they're not behind laptops all day. They live in the dirt. They live in these things. So we wanted to get that Cat AI assistant into the cab of the machine. We worked very closely with NVIDIA. We put their latest compute platform, Thor, on the machine. And then we brought that AI assistant, all of those cloud agents that we have built, plus some custom agents that we have built that run on the Thor box itself, plus a deployment of our AI assistant. So now you get the rich history of 100 years of operating experience of Caterpillar, the global knowledge of everything that we've built around these fleets of machines. We're able to bring that right into the cab to help the operators be more efficient, more effective in doing their work.
No, it's really exciting to hear that, and the historical piece of it, like what's required in order to get really good and solid data. It's not overnight. It's something that Caterpillar has been aggregating for years and years, right? To culminate to this moment where we're able to showcase it and talk about the use case for the operators. One thing that really struck me when we're going through the demo, when Mark was taking the crowd through, is safety was the underlayment.
100%.
Right. So looking
100%.
at the situational awareness, the E-ceiling heights, the trench depths, all those things, it was all centered around the safety piece of it, right? As we know, dealing with equipment like this at a job site, they're both very powerful, but with power comes responsibility. And to have a system that has helped giving peace of mind to those operators, it seems like that would translate naturally into more efficient operation, but more importantly, safer operation.
No question at all. And that's the whole crux of where we're going with this technology, specifically related to construction. We've been doing autonomy and mining for decades.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing and kind of the difference between construction and mining is, while it looks like, the machines are yellow and they're moving around a job site, mining sites can be pretty well defined. You get to a construction site, they're dynamic, things are changing, there's a lot of hazard you have to deal with. So that's where the technologies are really going to come into play. The AI perception, the ability to have the context of the job that the machine is doing, the ability to understand safe operations, the ability to take really good safety features that we've got on the machines and immediately make those accessible to the operator without having to remember where is that at on the machine, or what menu or what screen do I have to go to to be able to do that.
Now, are you guys looking at vehicle-to-vehicle integration so that machine A knows where machine B is at?
Yeah, that's really and we're doing that today within mining, and then we'll be looking to bring that to construction sites too.
This is very exciting. I mean, maybe something to close with, because there's inherent challenges with everything that you're doing, even though there's a large data set, even though you've got great platforms to start with. What are some of the biggest challenges that you think you've overcome and or that you're challenged with in the future?
Well, and I would say we've somewhat crossed the chasm a bit within the last 12 months. The ability to bring this level of capability to the edge at scale, at the cross profile and the performance and the ability to handle the cooling and everything that goes into having that level of compute on a machine has been a challenge.
Yeah.
We've had this idea and this vision to be able to do it. The technology just wasn't quite in a spot to be able to kind of match and support where our machines operate and the conditions that they operate in. We feel we're really happy with the partnership that we've started with NVIDIA and what we're seeing from their platform. So we're working through that with them, the integration of these technologies at scale and some of these really harsh conditions that our machines operate in.
Well, you're speaking to some things that are sort of ubiquitous on the technical side, but unknown on the consumer side, which is in order to get technology and software integrated like this, there's a lot of hardware, packaging, cooling, thermal management, compute power that support it, right? We take for granted at times, we can say, hey Siri, and we're not thinking about like a broader incorporation like this and what that means. And so
there's real engineering and packaging that has to go into that. And even if you think about like the 306 that we have here and what it would be doing on a job site, it's actively cooled. That active cool pulls air in. The air quality that you have on a job site isn't the best. There's a lot of dust that you've got to deal with. So there's a lot that goes into it. It's not just having the compute available. It's having the compute available, being able to package it and ensure that we're going to get that same durability out of that we would out of our iron.
Yeah, and that's what makes, I think, a use case like this so interesting. A lot of vehicles don't see the same environment, not even close. This has to be ruggedized in concert with what this machine's expected to do.
That's right. And then the other aspect of what we have to deal with is, while we put connectivity on all of our machines, and I had mentioned that we have this cloud-based AI assistant with all this data and all these agents operating, we also know too that our customers operate these machines where connectivity isn't great.
That's right.
And latency would prohibit us being able to utilize those. So that's really been a breakthrough of being able to containerize some of those agents, bring those down locally to be able to run on the machine, and then determine based on network conditions, should I talk to the cloud agent or should I utilize some of the capability that's running locally? So that's something that we're really proud of that we're doing on this machine.
No, it's great to hear. Well, Brandon, I appreciate the overview. It's really exciting to see what you guys are doing. And thanks for diving into some of the details in terms of the real hurdles that it takes to deploy a system like this.
My pleasure. Thanks, Jordan.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your time. Thanks, everyone.